Hey, listeners. Welcome to Mixtapes Mopeds with Red Wheels and Panda, the fastest growing podcast on the planet. Hey, we have a great show today. We have just a fun show. Before we start off, hey, Panda, I got a joke for you.
Oh, boy.
What do
Here we
you
go.
call a panda that's a great dancer?
Not me.
That's good. Not Andy. Not Andy. Ooh, call it a bamboogie. All right. No, boom. All right. Got the
Okay.
joke out of the way.
There you go.
All
Got it.
right. We had some questions posted this last week. We picked out the top two, and we had thank you. Please keep on posting those questions. We're up into the 3-digit numbers. Woohoo! Keep on going. Pass it on to your friends. We got a new milestone going, everybody. So this is the show to listen to. We have a guest host this week, the famous musician, the famous, well, now podcast guy, the appliance extraordinaire. Vegas loves him for his money. Rob Maxim. Welcome to the show, Mr. Maxim.
Wow. What an intro. And I can't believe I'm on the fastest growing podcast in the world, especially after that joke.
Yeah,
but anyways,
everybody turn off. Hey, Rob, I had a question for you. I was like, I always come back and go, hey, a lot of last names are named after like a baker or a barber or a carpenter. Way back when there was some sort of occupation. What occupation was a Maxim back in the day? Does your name have any meaning to it?
Maxim? No, Max.
You didn't go back to like, the warring days with the Trojans or anything like that?
I think it's just someone who listens to the AM radio at the maximum volume. But
okay,
as cheesy as I can come up with. But no, no. We don't even know if it's Irish. We're supposed to be English, but it's a palindrome. You can spell my name backwards and forwards, and it spells the same thing.
We just educated our audience. A palindrome.
Oh, you bought that. It's really do the.
If you do, if my middle name was like race car or tit, I don't know if it's had a name, but Bob Tit Maxim, kind of ring to it. I don't know if that would look good on a license or whatever, but hey, it is what it is. Palindrome.
All right, we have one more thing. Last week we had a couple of we had our collectibles. We talked about as kids we collected about something. Back in the day, we'd walk into the Rob Maxim house and you go, "Holy God Almighty, are you a goofball?" So Mr. Maxim here is the collector of Star Wars stuff. Tell us a little bit about your. Oh, there we go. Look at him. He is jumping up there. Tell us a little bit about your collection.
Yeah, it's kind of the quick version is a friend of mine from 1995 I saw, and he was talking about Star Wars, and I said we were laughing about all the stuff we burned in our sandbox and blew up with firecrackers, BB guns, and I said, man, I wish they still made it. And he goes, no, they still do. And I was laughing at him, whatever. And about a week went by, he came over and he brought a new toy that he bought at Walmart, and it was unbelievable. It was a cool Sand Trooper do-back thing. I'm like, they still make this stuff? And he gave me one, and I was like, so I went to Walmart, and I'm like, wow, the packaging is pretty cool. And then it just kind of turned into a huge addiction and, almost divorce ending story. But yeah, it keeps growing. And now everyone brings me their stuff, their Legos that they don't want to eat anymore. And it grew organically. I go to toy shows, and it's gotten out of hand.
Oh, please, God Almighty, please beg out. Tell me you dress up and go to Comic-Con. Tell me you do that.
I don't go to Comic-Con dressed up because I just sit at the bar and watch all the people around. It's literally A+ watching, people watching stuff, awesome stuff. But we go to Dragon Con here in Atlanta quite a bit for 3 days, and the parade, and it's just nerd heaven. It's awesome.
I have been down there. I have to admit, I've been down there because it is awesome people watching. And it's just a look and go, that's pretty good. That's funny.
Oh no, it's cool. I'm hanging out with like Deadpool next to G.I. Joe, next to Poison Ivy, and we're drinking beers at the bar. It's the weirdest, coolest. You got to come down with me, both of you, and I'll introduce you to some weird
game
stuff.
on, man. Next time, game on. Yes, love that.
So But yeah, that's anyway. So now I've got stuff that I bought from old, I've got 6-foot Millennium Falcons that used to hang at the Toys R Us back in the day, in the late '70s and so on. I've got, life-size stuff, and it's all over the place. Just
Boy,
thousands
when
of
you have
pieces.
the estate sale, it's going to be a doozy.
Yeah, well, I'm never going to sell it. So I mean, my wife's going to, I think, make one giant plastic ball and throw it into the ocean, which financially would be very dumb, but she won't do that. There's a lot of money in that stuff. Better than my stock picks, let me tell you. I got a Boba Fett worth more than my, Tesla stock right now, so I don't care. Yeah, it's nuts. So it's fun. It's the kids loved it. I love it. Everyone you've seen it. You come over and you're like, little kids are like, oh my God, this is like a toy store, and I display it all, and yeah, it's just fun.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Listener, it's awesome. We don't have pictures, but it's awesome.
I got
All
pictures.
right, we're going to go and jump in. You're going to be part of our 2 questions this week that we had posted, that we picked out of the many questions posted across the platform. The first one up, I'm going to talk about, or they asked, we're going to start off, what is your favorite cereal growing up? Panda, what was your favorite cereal growing up?
I guess I should have. I had to write these down. Let me. All right, here we go. I got a list because I was a cereal junkie, which is probably not a healthy thing. But here are the ones that I most consumed growing up: Fruit Loops, Apple Jacks, Golden Grams, Life cereal, which I still eat. I still like Life cereal.
Mikey loves you.
Grape Nuts. I loved Grape Nuts. I know most people. What the heck?
It's like
Frosted
gravel.
Mini, Crackling Oat Bread, and Honey Nut Cheerios. Boom. That was my
Good
list.
God, as a kid, man, you didn't go out and get the cereal that had the toy in it? That didn't have the Star Wars landing rover?
Yeah.
All that stuff. No, I like the classics.
Jesus, now I know where your diabetes came from. Good God. Jesus. Kid was spaz. Kid running around
You didn't know Panda diabetes was a real thing? Yeah.
Just kidding, Andy. I don't know.
Maxim, what was yours? What did you do? What was your cereal?
Well, it's funny you didn't list my couple of them. The first one was Quisp. Do you remember Quisp? A little alien guy, and they were like saucer shaped.
Yeah.
And they were, oh, I loved it. I remember eating it and all that. And then I bought it like 30 years later because, you don't eat it after a certain time. And then when I tried it, it tastes like crap. Then I realized my mom put like a pound of sugar on it. And I'm like, no wonder it was horrible. But I would say like Honeycombs and Captain Crunch were just,
yeah,
they would never soak it up, right? Those honeycombs would float, look like you're eating a pool float or something. Yeah.
They made the milk taste good. Yes, those were the 2.
Those are my favorite. Those are winners.
Mine by Captain Crunch. That was, I just said one. That was the cereal I was going after.
Wait, which one? Crunch Berries? Plain?
No, that was disgusting. Regular Captain Crunch. No, anything off the main. They tried to get cute about it. No, it had to be the main Captain Crunch. It never got soft in the milk. Made the milk taste good. You could down that bowl in a heartbeat. Yep.
Yeah.
Honeycombs. That's a good choice. I like that.
It's a winner.
All right. Next question came out there. I love this question. And if you could play with any band in history, who are you playing for and what instrument are you taking over? And we're going to start off with Mr. Maxim. He is you're the bassist player in a band?
Jesus Christ, how many times have you seen me play? Do you think I play a 4-string instrument? I'm a guitarist.
With a little...
No, I don't have... I think you already ate too much Captain Crunch. What the hell are you on? No, I think I would go with Rush is my favorite band of all time, and I think Alex Lifeson's the most underrated, incredible, gifted guitarist. Now, I would join the band, and then the band would, not sell out a show the day after. I think I'm a good guitarist until you go and watch them play live, and you're like, oh boy, they're way beyond my level. It's a no-brainer for me. Just those guys are the bomb.
Great pick there, Mr. Maxim. Panda, what's yours?
Last week, one of our topics was who would you like to meet, a famous person you'd like to go talk to or have a beer with, and I picked Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson.
Nice. Panda. Yes.
Yeah. But this week, I have no musical abilities at all, other than I really appreciate good music, and I kind of lean towards guitar, but The first band that popped out when I read this question, I couldn't help it, was Led Zeppelin. And to go in and replace John Bonham when he died, 'cause one of my biggest regrets in life is that I never got to see Led Zeppelin live. He died in like 79 or whatever. I was too young to go to a Zeppelin concert. And so I'd like to fill in. And of course, only the best rock drummer of all time, outside of maybe Neil Peart, those are probably the two gods, right? And clearly nobody can really play his drum parts, but in this make-believe world where I get to do whatever I want, I would become John Bonham and tour with Led Zeppelin for one last round. That would be cool.
That's a nice pick. Panda, I had the same thoughts, man. I go, what was the first thing that popped into my head? So, did I pick Led Zeppelin? No. Did I pick the Stones? No. Did I pick the Beatles? No. You go, I want to go have fun. What instrument you go singing beat? And then I thought about it. There's no first thing that pops into my head was Jethro Tull playing the flute.
Oh my God.
Little aqua lung playing the flute. That's what popped in my mind. And I go, your brain is wired something weird and freaky. And I go, I'm going with my first thought. I want to go out there with Jethro Tull because I can't play an instrument, but I bet you I could go and I could blow air into a flute and jump
Wait a minute,
around
does the
stage.
flute count as a rock band instrument? Jesus, that's horrible. And by the way, when Andy said, or when Panda said John Bottom, you started playing the bass. Did you know Bottom was a drummer?
Yeah, we went and saw him
No wonder you picked the
last
flute.
year. Well, because we went, yeah.
Look at all this.
No one does this. I mean, Will Ferrell made fun of it and Anchorman. I mean,
flute
who
rocks like this?
Going, I like the flute guy.
It's not even a good look.
It is not a good look.
No.
So sorry, that was what popped into my head first. I go, all right, yeah, it's okay. We're gonna go ahead, go with the flute. Sorry.
Tall man, there's nothing wrong.
Love that. I love the aqua lung. That was the first thing I got. That's all right. We're gonna go jump into our segments. We got some good segments this week. We got a Dirty Niner, we got the Mount Rushmore, and we got one special one we're gonna talk about, your best pranks.
Hold on. We skipped over old Alanis
Morissette. And yeah, we've got to get a report. Thank you. We're gonna go and skipped over. We got a report from the Panda from the concert this weekend of Alanis Morissette and Joan Jett. Panda, give us an update.
So on our Facebook page, I posted a clip from Joan and also from Alanis, and I'm telling you, Joan Jett is just Joan Jett. She's just raw. She's never had this like amazing voice, but she's on my Mount Rushmore of female rock singers for a reason. She just goes out, she knows what she does, and she plays it, and she's got a good band behind her. She was just everything you would hope she would have been. And 15 songs as an opener was also nice. So she has a nice catalog of a lot of covers in there that she's made really famous. But I was super happy. This is the third summer in a row I've seen Joan, so love that lady. But then Alanis, I hadn't seen her since Jagged Little Pill came out back in the 90s. And I just remember her running around stage like she was like 22 years old or some crazy.
How much she hated every man alive or whatever that was.
Yeah.
But the songs it didn't matter. I mean, the songs were just awesome.
Songs are just too good. I don't care if she's
she hated men who played flutes, is what I heard.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, but her bandmates really liked the flute guy.
Yeah. Anyway, in sum, Alanis was amazing after 28 years of not seeing her. I thought, that maybe she would have lost something. I know she was a mom. She has 3 kids now, all that, and hasn't really done a lot of touring, but she was exactly the same. She put on an amazing show. And, I'm not a Taylor Swift person, but you almost get the same kind of feeling going to an Alanis show that you probably get at a Taylor Swift show. A lot of younger girls there with their moms, whatever, and kind of just going crazy in the crowd, which is kind of cool. Although they were a little bit annoying at times when I was trying to hear a song, but it was a great show. She put on a great performance. So another great show for the Panda family this summer.
Well, she just did the national anthem to the game last night
Yeah.
for the
Which one?
game 7 for the NHL.
No kidding. Wow.
Yes, she still looked good.
That's a pretty
Yeah,
good
she
wrap up
belted
of the
out.
NHL, man. I thought for sure the Canadians would be coming back and taking the fourth game.
Nope.
Yeah, that's interesting. 2-1. Go Panthers. That was yeah, and unfortunately the Vols won too, or fortunately.
Yeah.
I know, Mr. Vanderbilt.
Now,
Yes.
good. Good.
Now we can ease into the first segment.
Very good.
My apologies. And we were going to get into the Dirty Niner, which is the best NFL football coaches of all time. Now, Rob, you're new to our show here, Mr. Maxim. You're new here. We tend to gravitate towards coaches. Panda gravitates towards coaches he likes. I gravitate towards coaches that at least I'm living and breathing, that I at least had the period of seeing them. So it may not be that best coach of all time, but it doesn't matter. There are no rules other than NFL and best coaches of all time. So, Mr. Panda, we're starting off number one in the Dirty Niner
There we go.
is.
All right. So this is going to be, I would acknowledge he's probably not in the top 5 for what most people consider the greatest coaches, but
Here we
because he
go, Mr. Bengal. Here we go. The
because he
homer's
has
coming. It's going
he
to be
has a
somebody
strong-
named Sam.
Here we go.
he's got a strong Bengals connection, but went on to great things elsewhere. I'm going to go Bill Walsh. He brought the West Coast offense to the NFL, completely revolutionized the sport, and obviously won Super Bowls. And yeah, he was unquestionably one of the top 10 coaches of all time. So he's worthy of our Dirty Niner list.
Without question, putting him at number one is actually a great spot for him. And, when you see him interviewed, he was kind of one of those coaches that set the whole, like you said, the offense, but also a perspective about just being a regular person in his interviews. And what a great guy. I couldn't agree more. Great pick. Mr. Maxim, you've got number two in the Dirty Niner.
This is so easy because Saturday Night Live does skits on him. You've got a guy.
We got to undo Homer.
He wore no pants during the interviews when I lived there and watched him, and he was drunk after the games doing the interviews, and that would be Coach Ditka.
Yeah.
Hey, Ditka,
The Bears.
the Bears. And I lived through that, and watching him, if they lost, he was angry, and they would ask him questions, and he was going to kill them if there wasn't a camera on there. And he coached, he had a mediocre quarterback. He had the best NFL running back of all time, but it's just Ditka is still alive. The guy is just larger than life. I think, the players loved him, and it was just the city loved him. So I went from that perspective. I mean, what you said, Pan, is perfect. I mean, that's a no-brainer too. I think that was on my list, but
I didn't put him on
Ditka's
my list because I
there.
knew you would have him on there because that guy was he was pure personality. He was a hell of a linebacker back in the day when he was in the NFL. And that team, that team came out with that song, when they came out with that, was just a laugh out loud funny.
The Super Bowl Shuffle.
The Super Bowl Shuffle. It was awesome, man. I still come back to that.
But it was so bad. Even back in the day, we knew it was really bad. It wasn't going to. It barely made the really 5 minutes of fame that it had. Yeah, I mean, it's horrible.
It was beyond horrible, but you just couldn't stop watching it.
I did.
Yes,
I watched
beyond horrible. I keep on going. Oh, there it is again. There it is. It's
awesome.
Yeah.
Some bad.
Great pick at number 2. I'm going to be a homer here at number 3. It is my team back in the day growing up. It's the first one I remember. Had a lot of connections to Chuck Noll of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chuck Noll took over for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now we don't know about it in the modern day era, but when the Steelers were back in 1970, they hadn't won really anything since like 1930. They had went 40 some years of nothing in the AFL. Even nothing. Never won. Browns always dominated them. They had done nothing. And through the draft and not even really getting too many players from any contracts. It was all from a draft perspective. He put together a team. They won 4 Super Bowls over his career. So I had to put up Chuck Noll as my guy from the Steelers, winning 4 Super Bowls.
I mean, I had him on my list just
Yep,
because
mine too.
he is a clearly Hall of Fame, all time head coach. As a Bengals fan, I can still appreciate how good those Steelers teams were. Yeah, very good call.
Number 4,
All
Mr.
right.
Panda.
I'm not the biggest Dallas fan in the world, but Tom Landry was just growing up. He was the guy. I mean, he was like had the hat and he just prim and proper. And his offensive linemen always stood up in unison. And it's just something about the Cowboys under Tom Landry that was just kind of mesmerizing. And they were clearly, neck and neck with the Steelers in the 70s. And he was there for what? He was like the Cowboys' only head coach for like 30 years or some crazy number. So Tom Landry's got to be on the list.
You picked it. You picked another coach of class. Tom Landry was the guy of class. Bill Walsh back at both those two. Just class, well-respected coaches and well-respected from the fans. Even as the Steelers fans, we did not like the Cowboys, but you always respected Tom Landry. You always respected that team, and he always did a good job of bringing everybody there. Number 5, Mr. Maxim.
All right, I went to show you that I just don't. I mean, I can be larger than hatred when it comes to the Packers. I'm going
Oh.
Vince. I'm going Vince Lombardi. I got to tell you, the guy was more than a coach to those players, to the city, to the. I mean, if you're not, I still live by that creed. If you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. Those are the great quotes that he had. He just same thing as Landry. That he had total class, total control. He had complete respect, which obviously later in NFL, I think, how do you coach these guys and the agents and the dollars that they're making and all that. Back in the day, I mean, he was a god when it came to football. Lived it, breathed it. That was him, and you had to respect him.
I did not
He
know
earned
that
it.
quote came from 10 minutes. If you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. That was a
Yeah,
Vince Lombardi. No kidding. Yeah, I
yeah,
live by that. I mean, I
yeah.
live by that. I cannot stand to be late. It drives me insane to be late. Yeah, great. That's a great pick at number 5. Number 6. I'm gonna go with somebody. I didn't meet him, but I met his son, and just loved watching and his teams growing up in the 70s. And one of the perfect teams. I think the only perfect team still. Don Shula,
Ah, my God.
coach
Yep.
of the Dolphins, the Colts. But man, he was the best.
Mhm.
It was so much. You always looked up to him. And another one of those classy guys. I met his son when he was coaching the Bengals, Dave Shula. Unfortunately, it
Mike,
was a kind of a
Mike,
train. Mike was Alabama. Dave
okay.
Shula was Bengals.
Got it.
Yep. So both those guys didn't work out too well in NFL or at college, but their dad did pretty good. But I had to go with Don Shula. Just and the undefeated season, man. What 72? Is that 72? I think it was. Win the Super Bowl. I think is still the only team that's ever done that in the NFL history. Of course, it was only like a 14 game season, but maybe 16 game season. Anyway, hats off to
16.
Don Shula.
They went
Panda.
17-0, so that's no one else has done that.
17-0. There we go. No one else. Yeah.
By the way, the Bears were going to do it, and they lost to the Miami Dolphins in Miami on Monday night to lose their perfect season in 1985. Little footnote.
Yes. The
Yeah.
That's why I didn't
Dolphins
say
had
Don Shula because he ruined it.
Dolphins had those little receivers, right? They were so fast.
Oh yeah.
Willie Galt and he was a world class sprinter, and they shut him down, and they just couldn't. It was unbelievable. And then we won the other 15 games. It was unbelievable. They protected their own record. So Steve is absolutely on the money on that. Great coach.
I mean, Brady almost had it and lost. It's hard. It's hard to get through without a loss in the NFL.
Right. Brady had it and
Yeah.
lost the last game.
Yeah.
Same
Mhm.
thing with Carolina. Whole season lost in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Number 7, Panda. You are up.
I would say that my answer is different now based on this past season. So I think with another title under his belt, I have to go Andy Reid here. He was a legend with the Eagles. He is a legend with the Chiefs. He's got I don't know how many Super Bowls at this stage, at least three Super Bowl titles, and just an innovator on offense and beloved by his the guys on his team, and obviously I think three Super Bowl titles says it all. So I would have probably gone a different direction had he not won this past year, but there he is, number 7.
Good pick. Actually, yeah, and very passionate coach too.
Yeah.
Maxim, number 8.
Number 8, I would say this guy, he just embodies what a positive, happy person looks like, and that's Bill Belichick. I mean,
well,
you
wait
gotta
a minute.
give him
No,
his cred, right?
wait a minute. He is now a happy person because
Oh
now
yeah, he's always
dating
smiling. He's got that really nice
he's dating a
sweatshirt.
24-year-old right now, so
As I
48
said,
years younger than him.
another reason to put him on the list. Just saying, he's coaching up. He's coaching her up into the bigger league. So I don't know. I mean, with his record and how he would change games and defense, and watching him beat Atlanta in the second half of that Super Bowl. I mean, that's just coaching. That's just bad coaching on one side, good coaching on the other. I
That's
don't know how you
exactly what
can't
that
have him
was.
on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for your pick because I was going, well, I've got 2. Goat,
Yeah.
the goat's still sitting out there, the best of the best of the best, who may be one of the grumpiest son of a guns of all time, but one of the
Yeah.
most just, he just was so tuned in. I don't know if you ever watched the shows with Saban and him and the interviews that went through that how they worked, would meet each other every year for a day or so. But it was just fascinating on how they both kind of looked at things the same way from an NFL perspective to a college perspective. But that was just a great, they would always be looking at a play knowing what to call.
And now you look at him when you got a bunch of mediocre players. Was it Brady? Was it Belichick? No, that's
Right.
Brady goes on to win another Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Belichick goes into the pit, right? So
Yeah.
if you're a great coach, you coach with what you got and you coach them up. But
He's
still
still
he's got to be on the list for me
yeah,
anyway. So
yeah.
All right. Number 9, I'm going to be a homer. I got to be a homer of. I have a little connection through. I've got a cousin that's married to a person that is related to this head coach. So I'm related to this head coach through a
What?
very twisted connection from Pittsburgh. The head coach from the Peyton Manning Indianapolis Colts is Tony Dungy. And I'm picking Tony Dungy because he was a
I like
great
Tony.
person, a
Yep.
great, just everything about him. He goes back to the professional guys of Bill Walsh and Tom Landry, and Dungy was that person to me too. I thought he was just a great example of a human being, of a person. He ended up with at least a Super Bowl. He had 6 divisions. He had just great quarterback, but what a great guy, and still on TV and just wonderful commentator. If you never met him in the family, I'm like 2 connections away, but I can never get invited to that show. To Tony Dungy, my cousin's cousin's cousin.
I think 2 connections away might be saying,
We are
feels like
not seeing that guy.
it feels like you're like 4th cousins twice removed.
Yeah, but I see my cousin in his book. I see my cousin who talks about her and her husband, but I don't get to see about talking about Red Wheels Panda. Red Wheels, he doesn't talk about the Wheels guy. Anyway.
Well, he's a very worthy member of our Dirty Niner, so I agree with that.
Great segment, the Dirty Niner. We're gonna roll into pranks, and then there's not a number here. We're just we're walking into pranks, and I have to admit it. I love pranks. I grew up. My aunt. It was like Joan Rivers. She was just funny as could be. I know Andy met my aunt. She's passed away now, but my aunt and I would play jokes on each other of buying Christmas gifts. One time she gave me a $10,000 lottery ticket that I won, and I scratched it off, and like, holy crap, I got $10,000 in my hand. She's sitting there going, and we just play pranks like that on each other, and those kind of. I just love pranks, and we have all kinds of good great stories. When I was growing up in high school, man, I had a car that you didn't have to have a key in it to turn the ignition. I'd walk out of classes after school and I'd see my friends doing donuts in the parking lot and going, God damn it, get out of my car. Or I'd walk out and go where my car was parked and no car. It was gone somewhere else in the parking lot. Stuff. That's good pranks. So we're gonna start out with our guest here, Rob. I know you've got a couple pranks up your sleeves. What's one of the pranks?
Yeah.
Give us give us one or two of your best ones. It's okay, we might go around again, but what's your one or two best ones?
All right, I'll go with two. One that my mom did on me, which my mom is a Monty Python character. They
Oh,
immigrated from England. She's 4'11". My friends love to come over and watch her talk, just listen to her talk because she's just funny and she would like to be funny. And she would do stuff to the coach, bake him a cake, but put vegetables in it, stuff like that. And but she did one. I remember we were working on a play, and we were doing carpentry for the school play, whatever. And I'm sitting there with my friends, and I open up my lunch, and she had you remember Suzy Q's? You remember what those look like? They're two pastry things with white like frosting in the center, like one goes on, whatever.
Yeah.
So she had opened the package up. She had got an X-Acto knife, cut it, took all the frosting out, put cotton in there, and then put the frosting around the edges again. And I'm sitting there to eat it with my friends, and I bit into it, and I'm like, oh, and I'm pulling cotton out of my teeth, and everyone's like, oh my God, what is that? And I'm like, and then I'm like, it's my mom. She does this. She does this to me. So she pranked me. It was beautiful. To this day, we still laugh about it. She would do that. She would put, little hearts in my lunch, to, embarrass me from my friends stuff. She just liked doing weird stuff like that. But that was my mom. But my favorite one,
Oh God,
and
that's good.
we have done this to people, and it's mean, but it's really funny, is where you go, the lottery ticket, right? The office lottery ticket, where everyone goes in because $1 and it's 100 million, $1 billion, whatever. Well, the night of the drawing, someone keeps it in their desk drawer. The night of the drawing, you go, it's over at 10 o'clock, whatever the drawing is. Well, at 10:30, you go to 7-Eleven, whatever, buy the winning numbers again from that night, now that it's already over, and you go replace the ticket with what it was, and whoever goes looks at it starts going, oh my God, oh my God. They don't look at the date on it. They only look at the numbers, and you can get people
Oh
fired. People
God.
will say stuff to their boss. So if you want to get rid of an employee, put that on there, and they come up and they go, screw you, I hate this place. Then they find out it's the wrong ticket. It's awesome. Yeah. Suck on that one. Yeah.
Oh
So
God. I thought the
it's
ten
mean,
thousand
but it
dollar
is
ticket
so
was bad
funny.
because
Yeah.
that one you win millions of dollars. You go,
Oh,
screw you.
you're
I'm out of here.
retiring. I mean, your mind goes crazy. It's a mind F, right? I mean, it's like,
Oh
oh my
God.
God, they start calling people, and you're like, that's when you got to go, hold on, got you. And then they hate you. They
Oh,
literally hate you because you ruined their life. Yeah.
yes.
So that's a great
Oh.
prank, though.
Yeah,
Man, you belong with Ashton Kutcher and then one of the top ones. That's you filming that would be even better. When you go,
Oh,
you see
people
somebody gets,
cry,
oh God, I can't
tears of
imagine.
joy. Then they go to rage. I mean, you get the gamut. It's perfect. So,
I used to have for sales calls. I used to have you say, hey, the RO of my product is $1 million. I used to have these fake $1 million in my drawer. And my kids went in my drawer and they found this envelope full of like $10 million in the
fake money.
envelope. Yeah, and I was telling them, oh, I'm going to mail out another $1 million to try to get a sales call. They go, that's not our money.
Yeah. It's
No,
called
we're not worth.
counterfeit. You go to jail. Yeah. Good joke, Dad.
yeah.
Father of the Year award gone again. Yeah. So I got more, but those are two good ones. So
We might circle back around again. Panda, what was the one that sticks out of your mind there?
So, well, this
Oh
one's
God,
good
that's
on
good.
the tape because I know you were a part of this, so it's really both of us. But our good friend Dave was the first of our crew to get married, and he made the tactical mistake of letting us know where all of his luggage was going to be when they were taking off for the honeymoon. So we went into where it was located.
The other
Steve,
tactical mistake that they made was we were paired up with his wife's sisters in the the wedding party too. So we were right next to all the luggage in the house.
So yeah, so we went and we removed all of their underwear from all of their luggage, and they went on their honeymoon down to, where was it, like Puerto Rico or wherever.
Mexico. They were in Mexico in an all you can stay place without even a close place to find a pair of underoos
Yeah,
anywhere. But we were nice. We stuck one pair of underoos in his driver, in his golf clubs. So
yeah.
he ended up with one pair of underwear for the week when he went out and played golf on gate day 2 after a rather hot and sweaty day. Yeah, that was good. That was a good one. I love that one. That was a good prank.
So I don't do a lot of pranks, but I did another one on the same gentleman, Mr. Dave, when he and Steve and a few others came down to Atlanta when I was living there. I came down to Atlanta first. They came down to visit, and we had, so I had this shower in my apartment that, for whatever reason, there was a full-on window. So imagine a shower with a 5 by 6 window, and it had a blind in it, but I opened the blind up, and when Dave went in and took a shower, he didn't notice. And I went around and I took a photo of him butt naked, right? And for, I would say, for at least 10 years, I like blackmailed that guy. Said, I got a naked picture. I'm gonna show all your friends. The reality was, I never had a photo, never got it developed, but he didn't know
By
that.
the way, it
So
was cold that day too.
so that was my blackmail over Mr. Dave, but the photo never really existed. So, but it lasted a while, so that was fun.
Those are good ones. Well done, Panda. All right, I got a couple of terrible ones. The first one, pranks. We done them all over the time. My good friend of mine, his brother was getting married, was going to be in a wedding, and we happened to go out on a third. This is college time, so let's just say I'm 21 years old. Good friend of mine, we go out and have a few soda pops going out, and come back to his place, and he proceeds to pass out. This is a Thursday night. His wedding's on Saturday. Big Catholic wedding. I guess 250 people are going to be in the wedding. And this guy has had a mustache for, let's just say, since he was in ninth grade. Always had a mustache from growing up. Always had it. That was his persona. So me and a couple of the other guys go, he's got a wedding coming up. Let's shave half of it off. And so while he's asleep, we shave off half his mustache with the wedding coming up in 2 days. And then go, well, it's probably, we don't want to spend the night here. Let's make sure we go home. And I get the phone call. What you do? Yeah, well, you have a better picture. You've never had one without the mustache.
Wow, 2 days before his wedding.
Oh, 2 days before his brother's wedding, it was just, oh my God, it was just. And then another, I mean, I know I can go through 30 of these. They're just stupid things we've done. The next one, I mean, one of my favorite ones of all time. I'm in sales, software sales, and I've got a buddy with me, and we're going to go out there and meet this prospect we've been working on. And this is a huge deal. And we're going into this nice, fancy restaurant, huge deal. And I'm walking in there with my counterpart, and I've met these folks, these two guys, and we're going in there, and it's the CFO and COO. We're meeting them for a good dinner. And we walk in, and I said, "Hey, man, I got to go to the bathroom. Right over there's those guys right over there sitting at the bar waiting on us. Why don't you go buy them drinks, introduce yourselves, and I'll hit the bathroom, and I'll be back out to meet you." Well, it wasn't it wasn't the COO or the CFO. It was two random guys. And so I walk in the restroom laughing my butt off. Well, the fortunate thing, these two guys played up with it too. So he goes up there, buys them drinks, start talking business. And I walk out of the bathroom. They must have seen me walk into it. And they're looking at me and going, I can't believe this son of a bitch is still talking. I walk over and go, No, this isn't them. And they're walking in right now. And he looks at me like, you son of a bitch. I can't believe I'm sitting here. I bought them drinks and I'm there trying to talk to them about buying software. And anyway, it was a group laugh, except for my buddy.
Ah,
Yeah, that was a good
Yeah.
one and it'll always
Yeah.
come back. Mr. Panda knows Mike Roberts. We love him. We've been out snowmobiling with him. Good dude. He just got engaged, but that was
oh,
one of my pranks. Yep, just got engaged. All right, I'm gonna go back, Rob. I know you're you sitting on one more
Oh,
little
I've got
appetizer, little
oh, I see it.
appetizer.
I see him on YouTube now. We did this back in the God. It had to be. Let me see if I was born. It would have been in the like 1980, 1981, where we do the car wake up. You know, where we're coming back from somewhere drinking in Wisconsin because it was the lower age over there. Driving back, one of the buddies goes to sleep, and the other three all look at each other and do that look where we go, "Oh yeah, get ready." So we're driving down the road on the count of three, right? One, two, three. Everyone screams. Whoever's driving, there's no anti-lock brakes back then. You could screech a car and it
Yeah.
would, turn sideways. We wouldn't go like 90 and try to kill us, but
yeah.
you'd slam on it and everyone's screaming. The guy would wake up thinking he's going to die, doing karate moves, making weird faces. And, something being a guy that actually peed himself. And what's funny about that is it lasts the rest of your life because you're traumatized. But it's all at your buddy's expense, and you're like, none of us would ever fall asleep, no matter how tired you were. All looking at each other, going, "I'm all right, I'm not asleep," and it was still funny today. I see people on YouTube doing it where they pull up with a car being towed. Looks like you're gonna get hit head on. Ah! It is brilliant. I don't even know who did it. It was my idea. Anybody? We just used to do it all the time. Coming back from Blackhawks games, and some guys going to
Man.
sleep. And it was just, yeah, it was
There's no
freaking
way
hell.
I'd fall asleep around you, man. I'd figure
Well,
out
that
how
was
I
the
got.
rule, right? You get your mustache shaved, you get traumatized, that you become insomniac. I mean, this is how you prank people. You want to
Oh
mentally
God.
scar them, right? But
Well,
it's
one of my
funny.
funny, I gotta say, one of my funniest ones. It was my last day in college before graduating. One of my last days, and one of the last things you did was go hit like 20 bars of the college. You had like this little tour, and I passed out on one of our friends' couches. Jenny from we graduated from Lancaster, but I passed out on her. And I woke up the next day and they were like screaming, laughing. I'm going, what the hell? So I get back home and I like open up my shirt and I've got on my on my whole body this permanent marker of all the sayings they put on my stomach, circling everything around everything. And it was I go, that's pretty good. Funny enough, one of those girls from Athens, Ohio, lives about 2 miles away from me right now. Who was the leader of writing all that stuff?
Let's get her
Yes.
in the car and make her fall asleep and traumatize her.
Yeah, there you
Let's
go.
get even. Come on.
No, you got to
Yeah.
go to whatever that. What's that workout thing you called? What do they do when they do the workout thing? Raul had one of those gyms. He had the gym. What was that gym called? Where
CrossFit?
you CrossFit?
Yeah.
Yeah, she used to go to his CrossFit gym. Yeah.
Oh, I
So
did.
so
Yeah. 3 years.
so.
I'm still sore. Jesus.
All right. Very good segment on pranking. Lots of fun. We're going to move on to the mount which kind of really flows along because we all have the best of funny people we love. It's the Mount Rushmore of comedians. Our rules on the Mount Rushmore comedians, go pick your top four, maybe duplicates, but who do we like the most? No rules. Who's going to replace George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln up there on Mount Rushmore of comedians? I'm gonna go. Andy, go up and go first.
All right. This was hard as hell. Let's just say that. Okay. So I could fill like three Mount Rushmores with comedians that I love. So given that, and one of these is probably going to be somewhat controversial. I don't know. But for me, the number one, the OG, like the guy that I grew up with, and was raunchy. Like I loved it as a kid because he cussed up a storm and he had all these live concerts that came out on a cassette or album or whatever. And I'd always somehow manage to get one. My parents wouldn't know. But the OG for me, that's Richard Pryor. He is I think the greatest natural
Panda,
Comedian.
exact same story. I lied about the cassette that I bought, a cassette tape, Richard
Yeah.
Pryor, sitting all night long, listen to his stuff. I mean, I'd listen to it forwards, backwards, Richard Pryor. Just, I mean, still, he's the king of the whole comedian world, and he is my favorite. Great pick.
Yeah, yeah. Number two might be a little bit of a surprise, but in his prime on Saturday Night Live, this guy was as funny as anybody has ever been with the characters that he created on that show. And for me, Dana Carvey is number two.
Ah, yes.
Like he just like the church lady and his George Bush impersonation and just all of he just in his prime. I think he had some health issues and kind of lost track of him over the
Yeah.
years. Now I'm starting to see him
He's
again.
got a great show streaming with Steve Martin. Man, him
Not
and
gonna
Steve
do
Martin.
it.
Yeah, him and Steve Martin on his streaming show. He's really good.
He is wicked funny, and so I'm gonna have to, I didn't know that, so I'm gonna have to go check that. All right, here's another OG going back to Mork and Mindy, but this guy Robin Williams was on a different plane of just brilliance, and he was a brilliant, just talented man. I mean, he was a great actor. Just think of all the movies he did as a serious role, but as a comedian, he was just you could put him on a stage. I remember there was a live show. It was like a Grammys or some Academy. I don't know what it was, but they had like 15 minutes to fill or 10 minutes to fill because the show went faster than they expected. And so they said, Robin, just get up there and just wing it. And he just riffed for like 10 minutes to close out the show. He was just a natural,
Dead Poet Society is got to be one of my all-time favorite movies of those boys standing up on their desks. Just
Captain,
one of
my
the
captain.
best movies ever. My
Okay.
captain, oh my captain.
Yeah. He was a wonder of talent and took his own life, which was, not unusual for super creative people, but unfortunately he did leave us. But he was, yeah, he's
How
a
about one
funny.
of the favorite lines? World according to Garp. The plane wrecks into the house, and he
Yeah.
goes, "I'll buy that one." Why? The plane just wrecked into it. Well, I know it's not going to happen again.
That's a good movie. I like that one. Oh my God. So literally I had like five candidates for the fourth spot, and finally I just settled because some of his he's created so many memorable movie moments that I can't not put him on there. For me, it's Will Ferrell. Just
What?
just the hey mom, hello,
Yeah.
the
There's so
Rob,
many. I
just
mean, watch Step Brothers. It's one funny, epic one-liner after another. It never ends.
oh
Yeah.
my goodness. When he was Ricky Bobby at the dinner table with his
Oh yeah.
grandpa, kids, and wife, and oh my
I
god,
like my baby Jesus, small like a cherub. I mean, it's just
Oh man, the Parent movie when he's with Mark
yeah,
Wahlberg and
yeah,
they bring in the two fathers that came into whatever that movie that came. Oh my God, he's so funny.
yeah.
And
No,
he is
he's
just one of
brilliant.
those. He was like Robin Williams too. He could just boom, 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 bring it up. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So that's my four.
All
I'm
right.
gonna go next because ditto repeat, same four. I'm only gonna have one insertion that's a little different. I was between all the same. Richard Pryor, just grown up. I mean, awesome. Robin Williams, without question. His improv capabilities
Mm.
off the charts. Of he was just, especially if you really watched him as a stand-up comedy, it just awesome. But I was torn on number four, and I was torn between Seinfeld and I love two women comedians too. Madigan, Kathleen Madigan, the current one. I just love her comedy. I love Joan Rivers. I love Stephen Wright, man, the dry humor.
Yeah.
And
So funny.
and we were leaving out Steve Martin, man. Get the banjo
Mhm.
out and get some good. He was just absolutely precious, funny. You'll. I would go with my number four was Jerry Seinfeld in replacement of yours, but Seinfeld was probably the guy. Not his stand up, just his everything in life that he has put together. Just wonderful. So those are my top four. Mr. Visitor, Mr. Guest Host, Mr. Maxim. What's your top 4 for the
I mean, yeah,
Mount
this is like
Rushmore?
naming the top guitarists of all time. It's the same debate, right? You could put 20 guys on there. So yours are all perfect. I couldn't argue against any of those. It's funny growing up. My first comedian I ever listened to, but I didn't know he was going to be the world's biggest serial rapist was Bill Cosby. So I took him
Oh,
off the list. I can't put him on a monument that doesn't. He doesn't deserve that. The guy's a scumbag. Funny at this day. But what I did is I did one old school, one new school, and then two in the middle that I was just I've been in love with for forever. So I went with Don Rickles as one of my old
oh,
G. That guy,
yes.
you watch he did in front of presidents, the roast that they had back with a Rat Pack.
Oh,
He's just,
God.
they're
Late
just,
night with
he was like
Johnny. Oh,
angry. It was funny is he ties into my fourth guy, which is I think today's version of him, where he's the demons in his head. He was angry at people. And it was just funny. He was just a funny guy. I love him. I mean, Don Rickles to this day,
one
I still
liner,
watch
one
YouTube.
liner, one liner, one liner. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a great
he
call.
looks at you like, he just wants to. He's angry at you for no reason. He's like, "What's your problem?" He's just funny. You cut down anybody. The other two in the middle are, I think, you're gonna not disagree with, uh, but Eddie Murphy to me,
Ah, yeah,
same
without
thing.
question.
Comedy was, when he did Raw, it was the number one selling thing. All that. Then he could do any characters. He could make movies. I mean,
Saturday Night Live. Come on. I mean, his Saturday Night Live, Buckwheat on Saturday Night Live was one of the
I'm
funniest
Gumby,
characters
damn
of
it.
all time.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Oh,
Yeah.
Or
Mr. Dad,
Mr. Robinson's
exactly.
Neighborhood. Is it
No,
Mr.
you just
Robinson?
put him
I don't
on there
know.
and I start laughing. He could be anything. I
Yeah.
just start laughing. It's like Will Ferrell. I just start laughing as soon as I see him. The other one I put on there, which I think is one of the most brilliant comics who in our time is Dave Chappelle. What he
Oh,
can
yeah, yeah,
do,
yeah.
what
Yeah.
he can do with skits and his comedy is so, I mean, the blind white supremacist, Black Bush. He could do the racial stuff and get away with it, and he's literally a genius, right? I mean, just the skits are it's just funny. And the
Hey,
last
wait,
one.
wait. Hey,
Oh,
Panda, isn't he from Dayton, Ohio?
He's from
Or is he?
Ohio. I know he's from Ohio. Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Dayton, Ohio area. Yeah, yeah. Anyway.
yeah. I just saw a stand up, and they had three, four comedians before, and they were all dropping the N word, all that stuff. And they were funny. And then Davey Chappelle comes out, whole different level. I mean, literally, the whole crowd, the mood just went, and he just killed it. He can make fun of anything. He's just funny,
Yeah.
anyways. But the last guy is more modern guy, who's my favorite guy. He's done acting outside of it now, and he's not political. He'll take both sides. He's just hilarious on everything. Is Bill Burr. This guy is so funny. And if you don't watch him or whatever, just he's funny when they do interviews. He's killing everyone. He makes other comedians die. I mean, he's just that talented. So I would go, he's like a Don Rickles. He's got those demons. He's like, this is the
Yeah.
shit that goes on in my head. He just can't help it. Same as Don Rickles. So I think, anyways, they were four odd ones because they were different than yours. I figured we would go with those four that you guys named, which were brilliant. So that's my
Well,
list.
I had Eddie Murphy, George Carlin, Chris Rock, Seinfeld, Steve
Oh
Martin,
yeah.
Steve, Jim Carrey, Bill Burr, Kevin Hart, Nate Bargatze is kind of a new one that I really like. So that and yeah, Don Rickles should have been on my list because that guy, he just I've never seen a comedian can tear somebody else apart like Don Rickles did. And
He
make you
could.
laugh
Wow.
while he's doing it.
Well, I used to like Foster Brooks to me when you watch
Oh
those
yeah,
old ones where he plays the drunk guy. None
yeah.
of the other comedians can get through the skits. He just ruins them because
You
he's
know,
so believable.
we missed a couple here too. Yes, I mean you could we missed Carol Burnett and
Oh God, yeah, yeah. Lucy,
Tim
yeah,
Conway and who was the other guy on that show? Carol Burnett, Harvey. Yeah, there we go, Harvey Korman.
or John
Man,
Belushi and
John
that era.
Belushi. Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
You want to know? So John Belushi was a legend, but Jim Belushi had one movie called About Last Night. If you the original one from like
hmm
the 80s or whatever, he was off the hook,
yeah,
hysterical. So
yeah.
many one-liners in that movie. You watch that movie with 3 beers, you're gonna think it's the funniest
Oh
movie
yeah,
ever.
Chicago guy.
It is laugh out loud.
Yeah,
I like Belushi's whatever his series was he had on TV.
yeah,
He had a good show that was on there. Yep, yep. Some guys, Chris Farley.
yeah.
Miss Chris
Same as yeah,
Farley.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah, you're right.
I mean, a fat stripper with Patrick Swayze is still could be my all-time favorite skit on Saturday Night Live. They're like, "Hey, we really like you, but you're just really fat and disgusting." And he's like, "Yeah,
That's the Chippendales audition.
Patrick Swayze's like, hey man, you know, he's out there dancing. It's just brilliant. The guy just knew how to make people laugh.
Oh man, yeah, every time he was wherever he showed up, it was a show. It was just laugh out loud funny.
Miss him. Yeah.
And we have several of them we missed. Man, that's one of them.
Yeah.
All right, boys. We're gonna wrap it up closing. So Panda, I think we have next week we have a little bit of a holiday weekend. I think we're gonna invite some 2 guest hosts. Maybe some ladies coming on board here, talking about some of their favorite streaming coming on. Getting that scheduled. By the way, everybody, we still please post questions out there. We will talk to your questions. Send to your friends, forward on the Facebook, forward on the X or Twitter links. Please watch our show. Mr. Maxim, thank you for coming on board this week. It was a heck of a show. Thank you. We laughed a lot.
Thank you, boys. Love you guys. All right.
See you, man.